Good evening, everyone. It is 6 o'clock on May 23rd of 2023, and time to call to order this Gallatin City Council Committee meeting. We'll begin with the roll call, and Danielle, if you would do that for us, please.
Vice Mayor Love.
Here.
Councilman Carter.
Present.
Councilman Fan.
Here.
Councilman Fennell is absent. Councilwoman George.
Here.
Councilman Hayes.
Present.
Councilman Javance. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. You have the minutes from the April 25th, 2023 Council Committee meeting and the May 9th Council Committee meeting before you for your consideration for approval.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Vice Mayor Love.
Second.
Second by Councilman Javance. Any additions or corrections requested? Seeing none, all in favor of approving both sets of minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Minutes are unanimously approved. We'll now go to public recognition. This is a committee meeting, or what we call a work session, so if you have a comment either related to the agenda or to something that's not on the agenda, now is your opportunity to speak. You will have 5 minutes to do so, and we ask that you give us your name and your address for the record, please. So right now, public recognition is now open.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Patrick Reeners, and you can't believe everything you hear.
Address, please.
317 Malone Drive. And you can't believe everything you hear. You know, when I was growing up, I didn't care what they told me. I knew what I thought was the right thing. So if people's foundations for their principles and their principalities is lies, you gotta think it might crumble someday. I mean, I spoke in front of this city for years. I had a problem. I mean, there's not a bunch of apples that have a perfect one in every batch, but I'm the one to find the rotten ones, really. I promise you. So I want to tell the city to wherever you feel like you're doing the right thing and you got that good energy going, just do what you're going to do. People are going to talk about you, you know what? And that gets you stronger. Because when you come back and they say, well, you know, that didn't happen. Well, maybe you can see that when the people talk about things that happen that are true, you might be able to respect them. Because once someone's known as a liar, even when they tell the truth, they're lying. It's not good. Because even if someone could do good in this world and they told so many lies, that one good truth they tell is worth nothing.
Anyone else wishing to speak under public recognition, now would be your opportunity. Okay, seeing no one, public recognition is now closed, and we will move to mayor's comments. I just have a couple of things. I want to certainly compliment the Parks Department. They had their first food truck festival or food truck rally this past weekend. I think David thought they had 19 of the 25 trucks show up, and they had a steady crowd all day, and apparently most of the vendors sold out. So I would say that's very, very successful, and it wasn't even a beautiful day. And then on Sunday was the decoration day, or really the city cemetery cleanup day. Good turnout for that. Vice Mayor Love, thank you for being an excellent MC, I've been told, for that. And thank you to the volunteers who came out and helped. And thank you for Jeff Henschel, who's become extremely passionate about our Gallatin City Cemetery and takes a lot of interest in preserving those markers in the cemetery that tell so much about the history of our community. So thank you for doing that. With that, I'll move on to, I do have a few events, I'm sorry, to share. Very importantly, the opening day for the Tommy Garrett Aquatics Facility is coming up on Saturday, I believe is the 27th, yeah. And then on the 29th is Memorial Day. Most city offices will be closed. There's also a Memorial Day remembrance ceremony happening at the Veterans Memorial Park. It's at 11 a.m. That happens each Memorial Day. It's always a lovely service. I would encourage you to attend if you may, because while Memorial Day is a day off for a lot of people, it's a Memorial Day for a very important reason, and that's to remember those who have been lost, preserving or protecting or gaining our freedom. And so we want to show our thanks to their survivors and for their service. Coming up on the 3rd of June is the Hats Purse Sale that happens at 545 Airport Road. It's from 8 a.m. until 2 p.m. And I hear that they have had some fabulous bags donated for this fundraiser that they do each year. Also on that day is the market day at the Gallatin Farmers Market that continues each Saturday through the summer, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. A couple of times that I have been so far this year, it's been very robust, lots of great offerings by the vendors. And if you haven't checked it out, you definitely should. And then on the 9th is Connie Kittrell's birthday. And Miss Kittrell is not with us this evening, but just remember her birthday's coming up. And Councilman Fennell's birthday is tomorrow, and he is on his way back from out of town right now and is not going to make the meeting, but if you happen to talk to him tomorrow, you might tell him happy birthday. With that, I'll move on to the regular agenda. And item number 1 is Resolution R2305-45, reappointing Dwayne Scott to the Gallatin EDA Board. Mr. Fenton.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, I respectfully request that you reappoint Dwayne Scott to the Economic Development Agency Board of Directors.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Hayes, second by Councilwoman George. Any questions about this? Mr. Javance.
Yeah, I'm going to abstain on that because I honestly have no detail on Mr. Dwayne. I don't know him. I don't even have his resume. So I would appreciate if I can get that so I can know who I'm going to vote yes or no for.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? Okay, all in favor of moving forward Resolution R2305-45, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And 1 abstention. Item number 2 is ordinance 02305-37, reappropriating certain ARPA funds. Ms. Nichols, Finance Director.
Last fall, when we originally appropriated the ARPA funds, we had small, relatively small, considering the pot of money, small amount of money that we weren't really sure where to plug, and we thought we would be able to use it on some cybersecurity items and possibly on not recouping, but using some of our payments to nonprofits to qualify for those dollars. When we spoke with the consultants, the nonprofits would become sub-recipients, and that would put a burden on them to do some additional reporting to the federal government for these funds. So we did not want to put that burden on them. We decided to look for another project that might fall under that. Additionally, with the cybersecurity, we could not purchase anything manufactured in the People's Republic of China, and most technology and software items have a component from China. So we would like to reappropriate this money to be used on the Southwater East Winchester Culvert Project. It's a stormwater project to alleviate some flooding in that area. And so we would like to have the purpose of those ARPA dollars changed.
Questions?
I vote we move it on to council.
Motion by Vice Mayor Love,
Second.
second by Councilwoman George. Anyone? Ms. Nichols, I appreciate you staying on top of those funds and making sure that we're doing everything correctly and putting this in this other place. So with that, all in favor of moving forward ordinance 02305-37, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, it does pass on to council meeting unanimously for consideration. Next, we have the monthly financial reports for April. Ms. Nichols.
The financial reports are in your packet. I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have. But with our budget amendments that we've previously approved,
Any questions for Ms. Nichols?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nichols. Item number 4 is the plan of service report for annexation for June of 2023. And Mr. McCord, City Planner.
Bill McCord, City Planner. This next item is a report that we've been doing for a while now on the plans of service for annexations that have occurred in the last year. We had 3 annexations with 24 and a half acres in 2022. And we are up to date on all of our plans of services. There are some things that have not been completed, but they are not to be completed until there's demand for those, or they are on schedule with each of the individual plans of service. There's a standard report that you received for several years now, and there's a table in that report, pretty lengthy table, which gives you a detailed listing of each of the annexations, where they're located, how many acres they are, and the status of each of the plans of services that we report on each time we do an annexation. Be glad to answer any questions you have.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. McCord?
Yeah, I'm scrolling from something right there, but I read on a report, when we say we're good to go, but we always talk about police fire. And again, it's not chief's fault, because I know he's trying hard, and that's our times that, being a police officer is not a dream job anymore, because people don't respect our police officers anymore. But when I read on a report that we have 6 additional officers compared to 2008 levels, and that satisfied that, I have an issue with it, because the population from 2008 compared to now is a lot. And if I'm basing everything on all the reports we've been doing all these years, where say it's around 2,000, I mean, if 6 police officers were satisfying that report, I mean, we would have grown only 2 per 1,000, that's 3,000 citizens. Since 2008 was a lot more than that. And we go back to the sewer. I know that was mentioned last night again, like it's mentioned every time. And I kind of agree with your first comment on the first part on Longolo Park, because that's what it's written there. We go back to the amendment there to get the exact wording. There's a lot of pages. Yeah. So I kind of agree with the ordinance 0802-13, where it says, the necessary interceptor and track sewer lines to serve the substantially developed annexed area. So I agree with that. But that doesn't exist on the other ordinance. They don't say that's going to be built when it's substantially developed. It said the annexation will begin 6 years after the effective date of the annexation, and earlier if there's future development and developer pay for that. So I kind of agree with you on the first one, but I disagree with you on the second one. That's my comment.
Else?
I do want to remind you, there is a public hearing scheduled for the next council meeting on the plans of service.
All right, item number 5 is Resolution R2305-47, confirming the appointment of Councilman Craig Hayes to the Resource Authority in Sumner County, Tennessee. So we discussed this. I think you know the circumstances. Please, to move it forward. We have put it back on this agenda. I think we talked about it last week, but I'll tell you why we're bringing it back. Because we weren't clear on the term of service, and his term actually ends at the end of June. And so then we would be right back in the circumstance in a month. And so we're bringing it back so that we can make it through the end of this term and the following 6-year term. So I think that makes sense.
I move that we do so.
Okay, motion by Vice Mayor Love, second by Councilman Fan. Open the floor for any discussion.
Can you go back to that, please? That we're going to bring back in 1 month? That's what you're saying?
What now?
I'm trying to understand what you just said, ma'am.
Explain it? Sure, good, just a dab.
So Mr. Hayes had been on the Resource Authority. He resigned. His term was set to end at the end of June, I believe, of this year. What the resolution said that was approved last week was that it was to, his term was going to be for 6 years. And so we needed to actually clarify that he's going to complete this term. So he's going to be appointed to the end of this term, ending in June of 2023, and then he will have an additional 6-year term, which is what the resolution last week said. It's really just to clarify that he's going to complete this term and will have the additional 6-year term that was approved last week.
The dates are on there. Anyone else? Okay, all in favor of moving forward Resolution R2305-47, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
And I abstain without an interest in this.
Refusal might be more appropriate than, or you think abstention's fine?
He just needs to state that he has a personal interest and
Okay.
he's recusing or abstaining either way.
Sounds good. So there were 1, 2, 3, 4 yeses, 1 no, and 1 abstention. That concludes the regular agenda. It brings us now to other business. I do have one item kind of related to the item number 5 that we just visited. I was notified last week that L.K. Lanham, who has served on the Resource Authority for quite some time, is resigning at the end of his term, which will be the end of June 2023. And so we will need, it is the governing body of the city's responsibility to appoint that representative. I have said, even back when we were having this discussion before with Mr. Hayes serving, that I would like to serve in that capacity. Mayor Clary from Hendersonville serves on it. I've been very involved with solid waste in all of Middle Tennessee. We have a lot of pressing concerns. The Resource Authority is located here in the city of Gallatin. It affects us in many, many ways, and they're building a new facility. And I just feel like that we need a strong voice that has good knowledge about the circumstances of the Resource Authority. And while I have not been on the board, I have certainly tried to be aware of all that's going on and what I think our needs are moving forward. So I'm just telling you all that I am interested in serving in that capacity. But ultimately, it's up to y'all. So over the next several weeks, we will have to make that appointment. So before the beginning of July. Correct.
In my opinion, since the mayor of Hendersonville is on there, the mayor of Gallatin should be, since it's in Gallatin.
Well, but I mean, lots of entities use the Resource Authority. Mayor Clary was actually the first one who suggested to me that I should serve on there because he thought that I would be a valuable participant. But I'm willing, I mean, it's not like something I'm dying to do, but I'm willing to because, I mean, between the trash that has affected our roads and the traffic that's created by the backups out there, I'm very concerned about the operations and what the expansion looks like, both for our interior sanitation services and for the customers that come to our city to use it, including our own citizens. So that is just for y'all to know. And that's all I
How many are on
have.
that board?
Pardon me?
How many are on the board?
Greg,
So you get 3 from the county, 2 from here, 2 from Hendersonville.
I thought,
That's right.
okay, I was thinking there were more people than that listed on there. Attorney or
When you get an attorney,
finance
you get a
person.
vote.
Okay. So 7 members. Great. All right, that's all I have for other business. Any other member of this body have any other business?
I have something
Okay.
if no one else has anything. Mr. Javance.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, a few things tonight. I got contacted by several residents who are really angry about what's happening on Longolo and Buckingham back there. I know I bring the traffic problem when we're talking about the Griffin Farm development, but it's getting worse. So
We don't know what you just said. We don't know where you said.
Longolo Park and Buckingham was just on the other side of the Griffin Farm was going to be developed. Direct entry to that subdivision, Woolink on the back end, so it was a cut through. And the traffic on Longolo Park is getting worse because people use now Longolo Park instead of veterans because it's backing up. So I would like to put that you know, maybe in the end of engineering to look at it, to see if there's something we can do, because when Griffin development's going to start, that's going to be even worse. So that's my first thing. Thanks, Jem, for giving me what I needed on the EDA. Appreciate it. And I have an issue with things I heard last night at the planning. Mayor and Councilman George were there at the end when you guys were talking about who will be there or not there at the meeting. And there was a comment from the planner who said the applicant might want to change their strategy if you're not going to be here on the 28th or 26th. We will need to inform the applicant they don't have a full board. I have some deferrals because they maybe don't want to risk. So again, when you listen to that from the other side, that doesn't look good at all. Because if you have a quorum, you have a quorum. Why would applicants want to move stuff out of the agenda because they don't have their votes? That's bad. That's bad business right there. So I'm not happy with that at all.
Anyone else with any other business? Oh, sorry, Ms. McCauley.
I just wanted to bring before this body, I've been doing some research on an issue that a council member brought to me in February. There was an annexation that initially was defeated. This is HP Townhomes. And at a council meeting, it was placed back on the agenda and there was a motion to reconsider. And under Robert's rules, the proper motion was a motion to renew. I have done a lot of research on this issue. I've talked to a lot of attorneys. I've talked to MTAS, and I really can't come up with, honestly, no, people have a lot of varying opinions. There's no Tennessee state law case that says that if there is a word said wrong under Robert's Rules of Order, that the action is null and void. There are some cases from other states, Louisiana being one, and I can't remember in my research, I don't have it right in front of me, but there were some other state courts in other states that found that an action can be deemed null and void. And so I'm just bringing it back before this body. There has not been any rezoning, so there's not been anything that's happened. That's correct, Mr. That's correct, right? No rezoning has occurred on that yet, on that property, yeah. To just do a belt and suspenders approach, you might consider, and I would probably recommend that we go back and revote on it, because I don't have a crystal ball to know what's going to happen in Tennessee 20 years from now. Some of those cases in other states, the actions had happened like 20 years before. And so I'm just trying to protect this body and ultimately the landowner and whomever moves in out there also, to ensure that there is no question that there is a proper annexation. So I'm just asking this body if you would like to place this back on an agenda, to go back through this body, to have it reapproved. It was approved unanimously, so I don't think there was any issue that what the intent of the body was, but because it had been denied previously, under Robert's rules, the proper motion at a meeting would be to renew and not to reconsider. So I'm just asking this body if anyone wants to make a motion to renew and place it back on an agenda to go back through the process to ensure that in the future there is no question about the proper annexation.
I think it's always good to be thorough and correct, but my fear is is that there are probably other instances for someone who's used a wrong terminology and
It never end.
it could never end. I mean, and we're getting so mired with a whole lot of work for our departments with things that are clearly intended to be one thing, and then there's some,
Especially since it was unanimous.
I mean, I have no issue with doing it. I'm just saying that, oh my goodness, I can imagine all the previous minutes and,
Gosh,
and I actually talked to him Tess today and we were talking about that, and he said reconsider is used all the time. And I remember that was common in the county too, to use reconsider instead of renew, so I didn't know it was not acceptable. So, what's the will of this body?
Leave it alone.
Anyone? Remember, she is our attorney, and this is her recommendation to make sure that, particularly the property owner is protected
I'll
long-term.
make the motion, but I was not there, so I can't.
Is that your recommendation, Susan, that we do that?
It is, just to cover all of our bases, to protect the city and to protect everyone involved. I think it,
Actually,
I said, honestly, when I talked to several different attorneys, everybody had a different opinion on it. But I'm pretty conservative and like to take a conservative approach to things of that nature. And because of that, I think if you want to fully protect the city and really the property owner and future taxpayers out there, I think to belt and suspenders it, that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I can make the motion, so I make the motion to renew that. Do you have the exact?
Motion to renew, but do we need to be specific on the project?
Yes, and the resolution was R2206-51. And this
Make a
was the-
motion to renew the resolution R2206-51.
Motion?
Second.
A motion to renew by Councilman Javant, second by Councilman Carter. Any further discussion on this? All in favor of moving resolution R2206-51 back to, I guess, next week's council meeting for approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Does pass unanimously. Thank you. Okay. Any other business this evening? Okay, and we will move to department head reports, and Mr. McCord has his hand up.
Want to verify, does that also, that motion that y'all made and just passed, does it also apply to the plan of service? Because there were two resolutions. There was a plan of service and annexation that ran together, one after the other.
Well, you know what? If it was turned down the first time, we probably didn't vote then on the plan of service.
Well, we did go back and do both of them, so we probably should do both,
Okay.
yes.
Is that okay
Would
with
we
this
like to,
body?
let's do another motion, please. And I think that was R220650.
Okay, motion to approve that resolution. R2.
Motion to renew. Motion to renew by Councilman Hayes, second by Councilman Fan. Any discussion on this? I thought Fan was first. Okay, sorry, Councilman Javance. Okay, motion and a second. All in favor of renewing resolution R2206 we think 50, but if we're wrong, we're still going to put it on the agenda for next week. We can vote again before we vote on it. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. We'll go on next week's agenda. Anyone else, department heads with reports you'd like to share? Seeing none? Say an early good night.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Vice Mayor Love, second by Councilwoman George. All in favor, say aye. We are adjourned, ladies and gentlemen. Have a lovely evening. Enjoy the beautiful weather. Spend some time outside, and please be kind to your neighbors.